Hello, this is Ben119 and welcome back to another Twilight Princess dungeon design video. In this video we're going to be doing the second part of Snow Peak Ruins, which is dungeon number 5. So in the first part we got the ball and chain, we did all of the downstairs area in the dungeon, and now we're going to do all of the second floor and the rest of the dungeon in this part. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go outside and push this block. I'm going to get one of these cannonballs. I'm going to put it on that thing to get it into the room. So when I first saw this cannonball thing, you know, like the things near each door where you put the cannonballs in, I instantly knew that I'd need a cannonball in this room. Even though I forgot, you actually did need one here. It's just that if that wasn't there, I don't know, if they were on every single door, then I might not have known, but they're only on certain doors, so you can kind of guess where you'll need them. It's quite clever, really. Oh yeah, the cannonball went backwards there. That's quite funny. After I used the ball and chain. But there are a load of these, I think they're called freezards. They're in cages. I wonder why they're in cages. They've been naughty. They're like prison. I don't know how it works. Maybe that's just where they live, but you just have to time it. This second one's a bit harder to time, but yeah, I sucked there, I got hit. It doesn't really do much damage anyway, so don't worry about getting hit too much. There you go, take him out. I guess that's just to help you work on your timing, that being there. And there's a cannon up here, and yes, you do have to use that cannon later on. It's quite clever, the way the game makes you use it. So we're going to go through this door here, because the other one's locked. And in here, there's a chest with a key. So you might not recognize this room straight away. You might though. Oh yeah, I got hit there, because there's a freezard thing. Not freezard, I don't know what they're called. So them things with spears, annoying enemies. This is actually the room, you know the room with like a missing floor? It's actually this room, but it's from above. It's quite clever, you go in pretty much every single room on the second floor, but you go in from above. So if you recognise the room below, you'll know where you are, even if you don't have a map. So we go, got a key, so we can go back and use it on that locked door. So we just use the hookshot target, because it's quicker than using the chandelier. Go through double doors. I like how they're all double doors, even though you only need to open one of them. It's a nice little detail. Oh yeah, right here. You can use the ball and chain, I just use the bomb arrow instead. You go down here, that's the chest. You know, really early on, one of the first doors we went in, we saw a chest on the other side. That's how you have to get to it. At first you may think you have to activate some kind of hookshot target or some kind of bridge, but no, you just have to enter from the other side. It's quite clever if you can see on the map that it's missing a bit in the room, I guess. I don't know what I mean by that, but I know you can probably figure it out. This is the very first room in the dungeon. You know, the room with the broken staircases on each side. Now we're able to get back up because we've uncovered a hookshot target. So if we do fall down, we're able to just hookshot back up. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go get a heart piece in a minute. Before I do, I'm gonna kill these bats because they get in the way. They're really annoying. That one somehow missed. Okay. So you have to hit these chandeliers with the ball and chain. And you have to get it so they swing in the right way. I think the way you could figure out to hit them is because you're able to Z-target them, and they're attached by like things from the ceiling. Maybe you could guess that? I don't know, it might take a little bit of experimenting if you don't really know. But this one is really annoying. At first I thought you had to time both the swings, but no, you just have to time the one in front, so it doesn't matter that much about the one you're on, as long as it's in the middle or forward. There we go, get to the chest. Quite a clever little puzzle there. Because we used the chandelier thing once in the room before to get a key. I didn't really mention it then, I should have. But I guess that's where you first figure out and then you use that to do it. I don't know, that heart piece is obviously optional, but I'd recommend getting it because you can master the controls a bit better of controlling the chandeliers. Let's go across here to this door, and this door will lead into another room where we need a key. Oh yeah, this is the room above the cooking pot room. Weird how it's all completely frozen. A lot of these rooms are really cold, I can imagine. I kill these little enemies, you don't really get anything for killing them, I'm just killing them, because why not? They're in the way. I feel a little bit sorry for them, but at the same time, shouldn't be in the way. They break through here, and there's a Poe. So like I was saying about the floors, as you can tell, I'm only on the second floor in this dungeon. Now, like, I've done everything on the first floor, I haven't really got any need to go back to the first floor for anything. It's quite cool how you have to do that. Like, it's just floors. Like I was saying, it wouldn't work with every dungeon, but for this dungeon it does work, because it's like a house. It would be a bit weird if you had to keep going from floor 2 to floor 1 in every room. I don't know, it's cool. I like it this way. I like how floor 3 only has one room. Like, the map isn't that big, it's really nice. It's nice and compact, this dungeon, but it's still a really fun dungeon. I know it's not as long as a lot of the other ones, but it's still really fun. It's my third favourite dungeon. So I pushed that block, so if I somehow fall down in that room, I'm able to quickly get back up, and I'm able to get back to the locked door room in a minute, you'll see. A quick tip here, use bomb arrows on these guys. You could use the ball and chain, but you have to stop and swing it, and I know the range is really dumb. When I was playing through this casually, like the first time when I was practicing this dungeon for the recording, I ended up getting knocked off there. It's really annoying. Oh yeah, you can go across here. There's a hookshot target there. It's quite hidden. It's good. It makes you reuse old items. I like it when you have to reuse things like the claw shot, or even things like the bow or the boomerang. It just shows that the game remembers these items are in the game. Oh yeah, this is the room. This was a really early on room. Down there was where we got the pumpkin, the Ordon pumpkin thing. Really early on in the dungeon. So we're above that room now. We've got a key. So if we go through that door there, it will lead back to the puzzle room, if you know your bearings. So I just like a lot of this kind of stuff with the dungeon, with the way it's laid out, and each room's laid out. Oh yeah, on my videos, it says like Dungeon 1, Dungeon 2. The reason why is because in Twilight Princess, you have to play the dungeons in a certain order. Well, that's if you're playing with like no glitches. You could probably do them out of order with certain glitches, but with a lot of other Zelda games like Ocarina of Time, and especially some of the early 2D ones, you can do some of the dungeons out of order. I don't know, with this game you have to do the dungeons in a specific order with story. Even if you have the next dungeon item for the next dungeon, the game won't let you leave the dungeon because usually you have to trigger some story event to get to it. So there's a door there on the right, and that leads outside, but we don't want to go outside quite yet because we have a little puzzle to do first. So we're going to kill a lot of these little Freezard things. There's another big one over here. I used to hate these when I was a lot younger playing this. I don't know why. I used to always get hit. I'm a noob. Still a bit of a noob, as you can tell. I always still get hit by them. And I think the Twilight Princess controls take a little bit of getting used to, especially in large areas. Like Link's quite sensitive the way he moves. Oh, you might not have known that you can use the ball and chain on those blocks. I only figured that out when I replayed this dungeon. I accidentally did it in that room and it pushed one of the blocks, and I'm like, oh cool. So right near the start, I got a cannonball, and that's the same cannonball. I'm gonna carry it up to the cannon, and I'm actually able to use the cannon to shoot the cannonball into that room over there. It's really cool I have to do that. I don't know, I think it's just the way it uses all these things. Like, you could imagine there actually being cannons in this place. Like, it's not just there for the sake of being there to make the puzzle work. Like, you can imagine this place having things like cannonballs and cannons, because it's like some kind of army base, I guess. Because if you look around in some of the rooms, there's like weapons like displayed and armor. And you have to look around the dungeon properly, but I can imagine this was something to do with war back then. Oh yeah, there's another one of these things here next to this door. This might be quite obvious. This was obvious to me, but might not be obvious to you. But you have to put the ball on there and then bring it into this room, because there's a cannon in this room. And this cannon basically opens up the path to the boss key and door. So it's really cool how it does that. I don't think there's any other way to get to it unless you glitch in the game. So over there, as you can see where the Freezards are, that's where we were originally. We were going outside to go on the hookshot target. So I love the way, I know I mentioned this hundreds of times, but I love the way this dungeon, just the structure of the dungeon is. I just love the structure of this dungeon. It works perfectly. And there's a door over there, and in that door is where the boss key is, or the bedroom key in this dungeon. And the one thing I don't really like about this boss key, and there is another boss key later on, which is in City in the Sky. And the thing is, it's not really out of the way. I like it when you have to look for the boss key. When the boss, like, this is in plain sight. Like, there's no way you can really miss this. Like, in the Forest Temple, for example, it wasn't necessarily out of the way, but you had to do some kind of puzzle to get it. Same in the Water Temple, even though that one was quite far out of the way. Like, I just don't like it when you come across the boss key really easily, and you don't even know you're working towards it. Like, in the Forest Temple, you can clearly see the boss key chest early on in the dungeon. And then you think, oh right, I need to come back here once I have the dungeon item to get it. I know that you don't even know it's going to be the boss key in this case because it's a regular chest. So we're going to kill more of these freezards. I don't know why, but I don't like this room. I always get hit. While I'm trying to hit them, another one always hits me. See that there, I got hit because I had to wait for the ball and chain to get back. There's nothing I could do. Something that would be fun to do, but it probably would be a bit of a pain in these kind of situations, is 3-heart run. If you don't know what a 3-heart run is, it's where you play through a Zelda game with only 3 hearts. And I think this would be a good Zelda game to start with because you don't take that much damage. And I don't know, I just think it'd be quite easy compared to other games. Like Breath of the Wild, I think would be the hardest to do a 3-heart run of. Or maybe Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask could be quite difficult as well. I'm going to stop talking about 3-heart runs. If you want to look them up, just look up Zelda 3-heart run. And there'll probably be loads of people who have done them. There we go, we got the bedroom key. So, that is actually the boss key. It's just called the bedroom key. And if we go out here, Yetta's here. I don't know how Yetta got all the way over here. She's probably watching us the whole time. So we're going to head to the boss door, which is all the way up here. You probably could have guessed that if you looked at the map. It's like the last door in the temple. And I know I didn't check the map here to prove I got everything, but trust me, I got every chest in the temple. You could rewatch this if you don't believe me, and you can look for yourself. I got everything. It doesn't feel like I have though, even though I have. It's just that this temple doesn't have that many hidden chests, especially on the second floor. The first floor has quite a few little hidden chests, but the second floor doesn't. It's really weird. So we're gonna go into the boss door, and this is actually one of my favourite bosses. I just think it's the surprise of the boss. Like, at this point you might not even think there's gonna be a boss because of how the room is. I don't know, it's just like a bedroom. It doesn't look like a boss arena at all. And then suddenly it just turns into a boss arena and there's this massive ice thing you have to use the ball and chain on. I think what makes a lot of the bosses hard is having to figure them out while trying to avoid their attacks. Like, if you know how to kill the boss at first, a lot of the pressure is off. Like, I know how to kill all the bosses, so there's nowhere near as much pressure. When you're first playing this would probably be a really hard one. Even though it's easy to figure out, but at the second phase you might not figure it out as well. I'm just going to be quiet for this scene here. Yeah, this boss fight is really good out. The music's really good, the atmosphere is really good. I think for this whole first phase, I'm just going to be quiet, just so you can hear it. Because it's so well done. There you go, the first phase is done. I just think the first phase is really cool. My only problem with it, I think it's a little bit short and a little bit easy. I think they could have buffed the first phase a little bit, made it a little bit longer, and made it a little bit harder. And I think this whole boss fight would have been a lot better. Now the second phase, even though it's really cool, I like the idea of it, I am not a huge fan of it. I think for one, once you know how to do it, it's too easy. That's kind of the case with most of the bosses, but I don't know, I feel like it's a bit dragged out. Like once you've done it once, it gets old. So what you have to do is 10 of these things fall from the ceiling. You have to look in the reflection to see where they'll fall, and you have to take them out. Now however many you take out gives you a gap on where you can hit her when she falls down. Now the more you take out, the bigger the gap will be. I took out 2, you only really need to take out 1 or 2. But you just have more space to hit her. But the thing is, after you've done it once, you have to do it 3 times. But the second and third time, it's not harder each time. There's a slight delay when they're gonna fall. You'll know there's 10 each time. I just think this bit is really easy once you've done it once. I think it's really cool the first time, but you have to do it 3 times, which, I don't know. I think they should have maybe done it once or twice at the most, this bit. And then they could have added like a 3rd phase. I don't know what the 3rd phase could have been, but it could have been something even harder than this. I don't know, that required like mastery of the ball and chain. Because obviously the boss fight is obviously based on the dungeon item and using it well and knowing how to use it, especially the spinner. The spinner's used so well in that fight. But the ball and chain is used really well in this fight, and even on the first phase it's used really well because you have to treat it as if it's one of those sliding ice enemies. I just wish it could attack you more. But there we go. It's a bit unexpected, that final fight with her. You don't expect to have to fight her like a massive ice thing. I know, I just thought it'd be some kind of massive ice boss thing that's not her. I don't know what I thought it'd be at first. Maybe one of those big Freezard things. I thought it would be like a big Freezard. But there we go. Bit of a anticlimactic ending to the dungeon. Anticlimactic, climactic. What am I on about? There we go, that is Snow Peak Ruins done. Overall thoughts on the dungeon? I think it's really cool. I think the design of it's amazing. Like I was saying, I talk about that a lot. The layout of it's amazing. I like how it's treated like an actual mansion and not just a dungeon. I like these characters, the dungeon items used well, a lot of good puzzles. I think the length is good as well, because I know a lot of the dungeons are quite long. Especially the later ones, like City in the Sky takes like an hour, even if you know the layout really well, it still takes like an hour. This one takes about 35 to 40 minutes. I kind of prefer the shorter dungeons. This one's like quite short and sweet. I don't know, for this point in the game at least, it's short. If it was the first dungeon it'd probably be too long, but yeah. I think it's the same length as the first dungeon, this one. There we go, they got together. And this is where you get the heart container. Like, it's weird. I thought you actually get the heart container from the boss. But no, you get it here. And there is loads of recovery hearts as well. So there you go, that's my thoughts on Snow Peak Ruins. I think the difficulty of it is just right as well. So if you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe if you're new around here. I'll be doing the next dungeon soon, and if you don't know, the next dungeon is Temple of Time. So goodbye, and thank you for watching.